Maybe you never pictured yourself as the homemaking type, or maybe you were the tomboy growing up. Maybe you thrived in school or in work, but now you feel like you're failing in your own home. You've told yourself things like, other women are just naturally better at this. I'm not artsy, domestic, I'm not feminine. This just doesn't come naturally to me. And deep down, maybe you're wondering if you're not even cut out for this. But what if the problem isn't you? What if you were simply never shown how to do this, how to be a homemaker, and you were never given permission to define what homemaking looks like for you specifically? And that's exactly what we're talking about in today's episode, so let's get started. Welcome to the Modern Homemaker Mom podcast. I'm your host, Jynae Schmidt. If you found yourself here, it means that you're ready to break free from overwhelm, create a peaceful, well-run home, and finally live with more structure, margin, and stability. Here you'll find practical rhythms, real-life systems, and faith-filled encouragement you need to simplify your home and reclaim your time so that you can show up fully for the life God is calling you to. Let's get started. A while back, I had a woman reach out to me and she said, Jynae, I never saw myself as a homemaker. I was more into cars than Barbies when I was a kid. Homemaking wasn't modeled for me growing up, and now I feel like I'm failing at something that I was never taught to do. And you know what? This woman, she is not the only one that feels this way. That might be part of your story too, or at least parts of it. Maybe nobody taught you how to run a home, what it looked like to be a homemaker, or how to build rhythms that actually work in your life. You're just scrambling, trying to see what works and what doesn't, like throwing spaghetti at the wall. Is this one going to stick, or is this one not going to stick? And, it's easy to look around and wonder why it feels so hard for you. Like there's something that you're missing that other women in your life or on the internet or whatever it is, wherever you're looking, they just know. It's just natural to them. Now, I didn't come into motherhood or embrace homemaking with the same gap as we're talking about here because I had a mother and a grandma who were absolutely amazing models of what homemaking was in their own little ways. But what I do know is this. It's one thing to watch someone manage a home, but it's another thing entirely to try and do it all on your own, in your own way, trial and error, all the things. It's completely different, especially in today's world where things that were passed down from generation to generation, it's like what your grandmother taught your mother is now teaching you is just part of what you did growing up. It's kind of now been replaced by tips that we can find on Pinterest and productivity hacks we find on social media or watching someone's day in the life in an Instagram reel and trying to think, okay, what are they doing right that maybe I'm doing wrong? So whether homemaking was never modeled for you, or maybe it was, but you're struggling to make it fit in this season of your life, don't feel like you're falling behind. And I don't want you to feel like you're bad at it. What you are doing is you're learning something that nobody ever showed you how to do it. So let's talk about this. So the first point I have is if it wasn't modeled for you, if homemaking was not modeled in your home growing up, if you didn't have some type of role model showing you what this looks like, it makes sense that it feels unfamiliar to you. Most women, in fact, most people in general, learn by watching. We're visual learners. But if nobody showed you what that looks like, it's natural for it to not just come to you instantly because that wasn't demonstrated for you. You're trying to look around now as a grown woman and you're trying to see what sticks. What's going to work for me? So don't tell yourself that you're behind or that you're failing. What is going on here is you're just untrained. There's some women like me, and like I've said, I was probably 4 years old and helping my mom fold laundry because I'm the oldest of 6, so I have 5 younger siblings. So being the oldest kid of the family, I felt like it just gave me this extra inclination or extra sense of responsibility. And especially for daughters, they show more of an interest in helping out. We're naturally nurturing. And so I was very young and very interested in wanting to be just like my mom. So from that incredibly early age, I grew up watching what it was like to clean a home. I grew up knowing what it felt like to feel like my home felt really peaceful and life-giving. And that was like that for me with my mom, and it was like that for me with my grandma. These are both two women I spent a lot of time with growing up. So if that's not something that you had experience with, I don't want you to feel bad about yourself or shame yourself about it, because this is all surrounding stewardship. And you know what? You cannot steward something that you were never handed. So if anything, right now, you should be giving yourself a pat on the back because you've had to put the puzzle pieces together yourself. You didn't have a roadmap from here's point A and here's point B and here's point C. You've just been doing your very best. You've been showing up. You've been putting in the work, giving your best effort, and maybe it's not working all the time. But guess what? You're not failing at it because you're doing your very best. And in everything we do, all that we can ever do is just give our best. Now, the second point I want to touch on is the fact that homemaking is not a stereotype, it's a skill. I know, close your eyes right now as you're listening to me, and when I say the word homemaking, what kind of thoughts, what kind of words come to your mind? Maybe it's cleaning, wearing an apron, maybe it's being artsy or being super feminine or being really good at it, and this perfect vision of maybe a 1950s housewife. Maybe that's what you're thinking of when you think of the word homemaking. But honestly, it's not about the way that culture labels it or the way that you see homemaking portrayed online. I mean, yes, you can flip open any kind of social media platform and you can see all sorts of things about what homemaking looks like for hundreds of thousands of millions of people. But the bottom line of what homemaking is, it's not about the romanticized version we see of it. Yes, I mean, I can say this for myself. I definitely romanticize homemaking. And you want to know why? Because when I put on a feminine dress, when I take a minute to drink tea out of a fancy little teacup I got from the thrift store, and it's vintage, and I decorate my house in a certain way that makes me feel good about it, it's not required to do that. But I do that because it makes me feel good inside. It makes the mundane tasks, the chores, the vacuuming, the loading the dishwasher, it makes those mundane things that become so boring a little more special. And if you're anything like what I think you are, you want to be the stay-at-home mom. You want to be the present mom. You want to be the mom who loves embracing that role, that high calling God has put on us as women, as a homemaker. And so sometimes that means romanticizing it a little bit. But what I'm here to say is that's not what defines homemaking. That's not what defines you as a homemaker. So if that kind of thing doesn't come naturally to you, maybe you don't even like wearing a dress. I mean, I'm not don't feel bad about that. I love wearing dresses, but maybe you don't. And I don't want you to feel ashamed about that because homemaking is defined not by our outward appearance. It's defined by who we are inside. Now, if being in a dress or getting yourself dolled up a little bit makes you as a person feel more confident, more positive, then go for that. But if you as a person, you feel like, okay, I am happy to be a stay-at-home mom and wear my jeans and whatever that looks like for you. I mean, I know we're talking about how we're dressing and the clothes that we wear, but this is just a tidbit of this whole kind of concept I'm trying to talk about here. But just wear the jeans then. It's just about how are you deep down mentally and how is that being reflected in your home? If you are embracing your role as a homemaker and you are doing your best, you're showing up, you're putting in the work, and that's being reflected in your home as your home is coming across as a peaceful and a stable, a life-giving home for your family, it doesn't matter how you're dressed. It doesn't matter how you did your hair that morning. It doesn't matter the dishes that your food were served in. It's about you as a homemaker and the heart behind it. Real quick, can I say something that might hit close to home? If homemaking feels harder than it should, like you're constantly behind, constantly resetting, it's not you. It's the lack of method that actually fits your season of life, which is why I created my signature offer, Modern Homemaker Method. And right now I'm rebuilding it, not because it wasn't working before, but because it's time to teach the secret frameworks that I have trusted myself for years. The ones that have carried me through every season of life. Busy, slow, pregnancy, postpartum, interrupted, and still hold. Yes, I teach decluttering and cleaning, but this goes beyond surface tips. This course is a full roadmap for building a peaceful, life-giving home built around rhythms that honor your energy, your capacity, and your actual life. This course is closed right now while I finish these powerful upgrades, but if you're on the VIP waitlist, you're going to get early access to the course, VIP-only bonuses that the public will not get access to, as well as sneak peeks as I build this next chapter with you in mind. If you're ready for a method that finally works, you can become one of my VIPs by going to jynaeschmid.com/waitlist or tap the link below in the show notes. Remember, this isn't just another course, it's the framework you've been missing, and I can tell you it's going to change your life because that's what it did for me. Now, back to the episode. But if right now you are the person, you're listening to me and you're thinking, okay, but I don't even know how to do the homemaking to begin with. Like, how will we dress? Put that all aside. I'm not really sure how to get my home in order. Like, I have to start from ground one. Remember, we talked about you weren't maybe shown what it looks like to steward your home well, to manage your home well. There's no shame in that. Homemaking is a skill, and it is a skill that has to be learned. So maybe instead of it being a skill that you learned early on growing up, it's a skill that you're now having to learn later in life, and that's totally okay. And so if I was to give you, as someone who's starting from ground zero, or honestly, someone who's starting from whatever level you're at, I do think that romanticizing those mundane moments makes everything smoother. It helps with your mindset because you know how easy is it for us to fall into a negative mindset trap? I am guilty of this nearly every day, and I have to remind myself, you know what, Jynae, count your blessings. You know that song, Count Your Blessings? I sing that little song in my head, and I'm like, it's not as bad as you think. I'm loading the dishwasher, and maybe you're annoyed because you're loading the dishwasher, but you're loading the dishwasher because you had food for your family and that food was able to feed your family. And so loading the dishwasher is a blessing because it means that your family has food to eat. And washing clothes, that is a blessing that you're washing clothes because your children have clothes to wear. You know, we can just flip the negative thoughts around and just change our perspective on it. But what I'm trying to circle back to here is talking about the romanticizing the homemaking side of it. And so sometimes I will say, making it a little bit more romanticized, making your homemaking a little bit more romanticized, it is something that just makes the cleaning and folding the laundry, just makes it more fun so that we don't become those grumbly moms or those moms that are resentful of our husbands or resentful of our children for making a mess. You can take this mundane task and you can make it something that's a blessing to you and it's really special. So that's why I think a lot of people are putting on the apron and giving off those vintage old-fashioned vibes when it comes to homemaking, but it doesn't have to be a negative thing. But what I am here to say, like my main point of this point number 2 I'm trying to make across is it's not just a stereotype. Homemaking is not just a stereotype. It's a skill and it's a biblical calling and it's something that we can get better at. It's something that we can learn. And what homemaking does is it creates order in the home. It creates stability for your family. It creates this peaceful and nurturing atmosphere. So if that means putting on a dress or putting on some fun little playlist that makes you feel like like tapping your feet as you're washing the dishes, good for you. That's awesome. I'm happy for you for that. But if that means that you want to put on a pair of jeans and you'd rather be out getting your hands dirty, that's okay too. So the key takeaway I want you to remember from this second point we've been discussing is yes, there's a stereotype out there of what homemaking should look like. But what I want you to remember is that your homemaking is not defined by what culture says that it's about. Homemaking is basically the art of making your house feel like a home. It's about making your house a home. You know, homemaking. You are making a home. So however that looks for you, you just need to embrace it. And if that means you need to do something that makes you feel better inside, however that looks for you, then go for it. Now, point number 3 is skills can be learned and it's not a lost cause if you feel like you're too far behind. This is me right now telling you and giving you permission that it's okay for you to learn slowly, to learn how to apply what you're even learning here on my podcast, slowly, imperfectly, and in your own way. You know, we're all going through a different season of life. The season I'm in right now is totally different from the life season that you're in right now. So based on what you're learning and how you're applying that, just go for it. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't get down on yourself for feeling like you're not getting ahead as much as you'd like to, or you're not grasping a concept as quickly as you want, because ultimately our time is not God's time, and God's time is different than our time. So God knows the desire of your heart. He knows the plan that He has for your life. He has it all pictured out. We can't see what that picture looks like, but we can just trust in the process and the timing of what that looks like. Think about when you're learning how to drive. Where I grew up, we get it's called our learner's permit at age 14. I don't know what it looks like for where you live, but I started learning how to drive on a golf cart. and on a ride-on lawnmower on my grandparents' acreage. And so was I awesome at it the very first time I did it? I don't know. I think I was like 8 years old. We started driving that golf cart, me and my siblings. And then I graduated. I got to start mowing the grass. And that was like, oh, you just loved mowing the grass. Like that was a big upgrade when you got to mow their lawn. And so was I amazing at it the first time? Did the lawn look cut like a golf course the first time I mowed the lawn? Absolutely not. But I got better at it. Was I discouraged? Did I look at the yard and I thought, oh, I'm a failure. I just don't want to do this anymore? No. I was like, you know what? I can get better the more and more I do this. And guess what? I did. I got better the more I did it. The first time I got my driver's license at age 16, I'll never forget. I had never stepped foot in a vehicle in my life. I had driven the golf cart, the lawnmower a lot, but I'd never driven an actual vehicle. And so when I got, right after we left that insurance place, after I got the picture done and everything, I got my license, I was so excited off of this emotional roller coaster. And I got in the truck with my dad, and I had never driven a vehicle before, and we were approaching a stop sign. He's like, okay, you need to start slowing down. And I hit that brake so hard. I can't stop but laugh and smile just reflecting back to that moment, because if it weren't for the seatbelt lock, my poor father's head would have smashed the dashboard. But am I still a driver like that today? No, I'm not. So homemaking is the same thing. You're not going to be perfect at it the same time. You're not going to be the most amazing cook the first time, or you're not going to make the bed necessarily the very perfectly done way the very first time. But the more you do it, you're going to get better at it. It's like building a muscle, and the more you do it, the stronger that muscle gets. The last point I want to talk about before we wrap this episode up is I want you to use what you already know, what you're already good at, where your strengths lie, you're talented in these areas, use that as a bridge. Now, what do I mean by this? I want you to apply those strengths in other areas of your life. Like start where you're at right now. So here's a few examples. Are you one of those people that you're really good at planning? Okay, well, start meal planning. That's an area that you could start and you can excel at, and then you can build from there. Do you love systems? Okay, awesome. Build a simple cleaning system that's going to work for your household. Were you a teacher back in the day? Maybe you were a high school teacher or something. Use those skills for home structure. So just take this kind of activity I'm walking you through right now and maybe brainstorm. Take some time, get a notebook, get a pen, sit down, quiet your mind, and write down all of your talents, all the things that you're good at. The things that you love, the things that light you up. Write those down. And then beside those things, write down, how can I apply this and take this skill and apply it to my home? Because you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to completely reinvent yourself. You just need to redirect your strengths toward your home. Now, in conclusion, to summarize it all up, if homemaking feels more like a weight to you than a joy, it makes sense because nobody showed you how to do this. And I know that you've tried. You've done the things, you've downloaded the checklists and the freebies, you've watched the YouTube routines, you've maybe even mapped out a plan that you thought was going to work, only to feel like everything is falling apart the moment it starts to get loud. But that doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that you need a method that fits your real life, not just the best days, the days that work perfectly. You need a method that's going to work every single day through every single season of your life. And that's exactly what I walk you through inside Modern Homemaker Method, which is my signature offer. And remember, my VIP waitlist is where you want to be so that when the doors open back up to my course, because they're currently closed, you're going to get first access as well as VIP only offers. Nobody else is going to see these offers except for my VIPs. And so if you want to be on that list, where you can head to right now is jynaeschmid.com/waitlist, or click the link below in the show notes of this episode. Now, if this conversation spoke something to you that you've been feeling but couldn't quite name, I would be so grateful if you would share it with a friend who might also need the same reminder. And thank you so much for being with me today. I don't take it lightly. Every time you come to my show and tune into an episode I share here, you are not only educating yourself and making yourself a better person, but it also helps the growth in this show, which results in me being able to bless other women out there just like you. So that's all for now. I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Did something in today's episode encourage you? If it did, would you take a minute to hit subscribe and leave a quick review? It's such a simple way to support this show and help other homemakers find this encouragement as well. And if you're looking for even more support in your homemaking journey, come join our free Facebook group. Just head over to bit.ly/homeroutines. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll see you in the next episode.